Alien leaders mock ancient ship until they discover it was built by humans. Top HFY stories. The galaxy had long been a playground for advanced civilizations, each vying for power, resources, and dominance. The Council of Galactic Elders, a collective of the most influential alien species, had seen it all. Their ships, forged from technologies older than many known star systems, stood as symbols of their superiority. They had conquered worlds, outlasted civilizations, and bent the cosmos to their will. So when word reached them about an ancient ship floating in the deep expanse of a forgotten sector, they expected little more than an abandoned relic, maybe an anomaly of a long-extinct race. It was a curiosity, nothing more. The ship was unmarked, floating in the void like a ghost of the past. A fleet of the Council's finest ships, led by a towering warship from the mighty Xenic Empire, arrived to inspect the strange find. The leaders gathered aboard the flagship, looking out at the derelict vessel through large observation windows. It was a hulk, its design crude, its structure worn by eons of drifting in space. Pathetic, scoffed Scarthol, the imperious leader of the Hegemon, a species known for their brutal conquests and unyielding power. His many red eyes blinked with disdain. What foolish race could build such a monstrosity? This must be the work of some primitive, long-forgotten species. Scarthol's comment was met with a chorus of agreement from the other leaders. Zulker, the High Elder of the Avistra, a species of mind-bending intellect, tapped his long, silver fingers against his chin. It is nothing more than a curiosity, a relic of an unimportant race. We should study it, of course, but there's no need to waste resources on it. The other leaders, from the towering Vaxii to the insectoid Croth, nodded in collective derision. The ship was old, battered, and clearly inferior to their own technological wonders. The idea of anything less advanced challenging their supremacy seemed laughable. But as the leaders convened in their war room aboard the flagship, the truth of the ship began to unravel in unexpected ways. The ship, it's human. At first, they dismissed the idea as a joke. Humans, they had thought, were primitive, unable to venture beyond their own solar system, let alone build anything that could challenge the might of galactic empires. But as the ship's ancient systems flickered to life, a shocking discovery sent ripples of disbelief through the council chambers. Impossible, Zulker muttered as he accessed the data. The design, the technology, it's human-made. The life signs aboard, the system readings, they're human. The room fell silent. No one could believe it. The vessel was a relic from an ancient human civilization, lost to time and space. It was built thousands of years ago, long before the rise of the Council's most powerful empires. The ship wasn't merely a survivor of some forgotten species, it was a testament to humanity's ingenuity and defiance, even in the face of overwhelming odds. A loud voice broke the silence. This is a human vessel? It was Kaler, the leader of the Xenic Empire, and even his usual calm was broken by the weight of the revelation. The data continued to flow in, detailing the incredible capabilities of the ship. Despite its worn exterior, its internal systems were incredibly advanced, utilizing a form of energy that the Council had never encountered. It was a ship designed to endure, built for long-distance exploration, capable of navigating through the deepest parts of space and surviving the harshest conditions. Human? Scarthol sneered, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. This ship is a mockery of our superiority. We have no reason to fear. Before he could finish, the ship's systems hummed louder, and a holographic message flickered to life. The projection was of a human, an ancient human, long dead but preserved in the ship's records. His voice echoed through the room. We come from a world where survival is never guaranteed, where we were not the first, nor the strongest, but we fought for our place in the stars. If you are hearing this message, it means we were not the last. The leaders exchanged uneasy glances. This was no typical message of surrender. The tone was one of quiet defiance. You think us weak. You think us small, the human continued. But we have made it this far through sheer will. We were the underdogs, the ones no one believed in, but we learned, we adapted, and we overcame. Beware, because the humans you mock are not to be underestimated. The message ended, leaving the council members in stunned silence. Then, something even stranger happened. The Xenic warship's sensors picked up a faint, unnoticed signal coming from the human ship. It was not a distress call, Not an ancient message, it was a countdown. The ship's long-dormant systems were waking up, preparing for something vast. In an instant, the council leaders realized the truth. The ship was not merely a relic, it was a beacon. A message to other human ships scattered across the galaxy. Humanity was out there, biding its time, waiting for the right moment to strike. And now the council knew, the galaxy's power structure had just shifted. The human race, once thought insignificant, had shown that they were not a species to be underestimated. They had built this ship, they had survived, and now they were returning. And for the first time, the mighty leaders of the galaxy felt a chill of fear, not just for their empire's future, but for their place in the stars. Humanity, it seemed, had only just begun. The leaders of the Galactic Council would never again laugh at the name of humanity, and across the galaxy, whispers of the ancient ship spread far and wide, as stories of humanity's rise to power began to echo in every corner of the universe. For the first time, the galaxy realized something profound. It wasn't just about strength or technology, it was about the unyielding spirit of a species that refused to be defeated. Humanity strikes back, the rise of the underdogs. The news of the human ship's existence spread like wildfire throughout the galaxy. It wasn't just the Council of Galactic Elders that had taken notice. Every empire, every faction, every species with an interest in galactic power had their eyes fixed on the humans. The ancient ship wasn't an isolated relic. It was a symbol of something far greater, a testament to a species that refused to bow to the might of the galaxy's oldest and most powerful races. Soon after the shocking revelation, the leaders of the Galactic Council convened once more. But this time there was no mocking, no arrogance in their voices. Instead, they exchanged nervous glances and whispered words of caution. They had underestimated the humans before, now they knew better. The Xenic Empire, the largest and most powerful of the galactic empires, called an emergency summit. Kaler, their towering leader, issued a directive to their fleet to begin scouting for any signs of other human vessels. Scarthol, the hegemon, ordered his most elite forces to monitor known human territories for signs of technological advancement. The Council's fear was palpable. What if there were more ships like that one? What if humanity had been hiding in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? It wasn't long before they had their answer. Across the galaxy, human ships, old, battered, yet unmistakably human, began to emerge from the depths of forgotten space. These ships, each a testament to humanity's resilience, were scattered throughout distant sectors, drifting just below the radar of the Council's empires. They were built for survival, for exploration, and most importantly, for war. And they were waking up. Humanity was not just some isolated species in a corner of the galaxy. They had been hiding in plain sight, preparing for the day they would rise again. Every human ship that emerged carried with it not just the promise of advanced technology, but the spirit of a race that had conquered the impossible. On Earth, the leaders of the United Earth Government, UEG, had been monitoring the unfolding galactic events. They had known for decades that humanity had been left out of the grand galactic schemes. They were seen as primitive, unworthy of the Council's attention, and yet they had survived. But they were ready. Dr. Kira Fields, a brilliant scientist and former commander of Earth's Deep Space Research Division, had been the first to crack the code. After the discovery of the ancient ship, she had pieced together the signal from the human vessel, which was far more than a simple message. It was a rallying cry. "We were never alone," Dr. Fields had said in her public address, speaking directly to the people of Earth. Humanity's place in the stars has always been a matter of time. The galaxy underestimated us, but now, it's time for us to remind them what we're capable of. Within weeks, Earth's space fleets were mobilized. The United Earth Government had a secret project known as Project Genesis, a top-secret program designed to reverse engineer alien technologies, develop new weapons, and create advanced ships. The project had been underway for decades, but it had always been kept under wraps, hidden from the larger galactic community. Now, the time had come to unveil humanity's greatest secret. The first new human warships emerged from Earth's orbit. Their sleek, advanced designs a far cry from the old, rusted ships that had once been the backbone of humanity's exploration. These ships were powerful, their weapon systems designed to rival the most advanced fleets in the galaxy. They were a symbol of humanity's new direction, no longer the meek and insignificant race, but one that had taken its rightful place among the stars. The first of these ships, the Vanguard, was a battleship of immense size and firepower. It had been constructed using a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology, a perfect blend of old and new. The human fleet wasn't just a force to be reckoned with, it was a statement. Back at the Galactic Council, the mood had shifted dramatically. What had started as disbelief had now evolved into outright panic. The leaders who had once scoffed at humanity's potential were scrambling to find a way to contain the rise of this new force. But they soon realized that humanity was not just a threat to be eliminated. The humans, in their small, unassuming way, had begun to change the entire balance of power in the galaxy. As the human fleet grew, so too did the rumors. There were whispers that humans had discovered ancient technologies far beyond what the Council had ever known. Some speculated that humanity had found a way to manipulate spacetime itself, creating weapons capable of reshaping the very fabric of the universe. But no one knew for sure. The one thing that was certain, however, was that humanity was no longer the underdog. They had learned from their past mistakes, had adapted, and had grown stronger. The galaxy now faced a new power, one that was hungry for both survival and dominance. As the first human ships engaged in skirmishes along the fringes of the galaxy, the message was clear: the humans were not here to ask for permission. They were here to take what was rightfully theirs. And as their forces began to push further into the galaxy's more contested regions, they encountered a truth that the Galactic Council had overlooked for far too long. The humans, once thought weak and primitive, were now a force to be reckoned with. The same ingenuity, resilience, and unyielding spirit that had allowed them to survive on their homeworld had fueled their rise among the stars. The underdogs had become giants, and now, the galaxy would have to reckon with them. The Council, faced with the undeniable truth of humanity's potential, was left with only one question: could they hold on to their power in the face of a rising, unstoppable human tide? And so began the new age of the galaxy, the age of humanity's rise. The human uprising, a new era of galactic power. The galaxy was on the brink of a new era. The once unthinkable had occurred: humanity, a species dismissed as insignificant and primitive, was now a power to be reckoned with. The rise of humanity had sparked an upheaval of galactic proportions, and those who once mocked them now feared them. The Galactic Council, composed of the galaxy's most powerful empires, now found itself struggling to maintain its dominance in the face of this rising tide of human ingenuity and defiance. The Vanguard, humanity's flagship, and its fleet of advanced warships became the symbol of this new age. These ships were equipped with technology no one in the galaxy had seen before: energy weapons capable of cutting through even the toughest alien armor, defensive shields stronger than the mightiest warships of the Council, and engines that could traverse vast distances in the blink of an eye. But it wasn't just the technology that made humanity's fleet so dangerous. It was their willpower, their unyielding desire to survive, and their capacity to fight against all odds. Across the galaxy, human fleets began to push forward. Small outposts that had been quietly established in distant corners of space were now fortified into bastions of humanity's power. Each system taken was a victory not just for humanity's military, but for their ideology, a vision of a galaxy where all species could thrive, not just the ones who had long held power. The Galactic Council, now fully aware of the threat that humanity posed, began to fracture. For centuries, the various factions had maintained an uneasy alliance, each empire balancing the others through diplomacy, threats, and the occasional skirmish. But with humanity's rapid rise, old rivalries were beginning to resurface, and the unity of the Council was beginning to crack. The Battle of Strathis Prime. The first major engagement between humanity and the Council occurred at Strathis Prime, a strategic planet situated in the neutral zone between the Xenic Empire and the Hegemon. Strathis Prime was rich in resources, vital for the war efforts of any major power. It was also home to an ancient artifact that was believed to possess incredible power. The Council had long agreed that Strathis Prime would remain a neutral world, but humanity had quietly staked a claim, recognizing its potential value in the growing conflict. When the Xenic fleet arrived at Strathis Prime to seize control, they were met with an unexpected force: the human fleet. The battle that ensued was nothing short of legendary. The Xenic ships, vast and technologically superior, charged headlong into battle, confident in their victory. But humanity's ships, agile and equipped with highly advanced experimental weapons, quickly turned the tide. For the first time in galactic history, the Xenic Empire's greatest warships were outmatched. Human pilots, trained in the most extreme environments, engaged in dogfights that were both brutal and brilliant. Every move was calculated, each tactic a testament to human creativity and adaptability. The Xenic fleet found themselves at a disadvantage, unable to match the speed and maneuverability of the human vessels. The battle lasted for hours, with the human fleet emerging victorious. The Xenic forces, battered and broken, retreated from Strathis Prime, marking the first of many defeats for the galactic giants. News of humanity's victory at Strathis Prime spread quickly across the galaxy, sending shockwaves through the galactic empires. For the first time, the idea that humanity could stand toe-to-toe with the most powerful empires was no longer a distant possibility, it was a reality. The rise of the Human Alliance. In the aftermath of Strathis Prime, humanity's influence continued to grow. As the humans expanded their reach, they began to forge alliances with other species who had long been oppressed or ignored by the larger empires. Many of these species, tired of being dominated by the Council, were eager to support the rise of the humans, seeing them as a potential liberator from the tyranny of the old powers. The Human Alliance, as it came to be known, became a powerful coalition of independent systems and rebel factions. Their influence spread through sectors once considered untouchable by the Council. From the outer rim to the core systems, these new allies brought with them not only their support but also their resources, technologies, and knowledge, further bolstering humanity's growing strength. The alliance wasn't just a military force, it was an ideological movement. The humans championed freedom, equality, and the right of all species to have a voice in the galaxy's future. Their message resonated with those who had long been marginalized by the elite powers of the Council. No longer would they be relegated to the fringes of the galaxy. Humanity was giving them the chance to rise and stand side by side with the strongest forces in the cosmos. The fall of the Galactic Council. The Galactic Council, once an unshakable institution, found itself losing ground quickly. The fractures between its member empires deepened, and infighting escalated. The Avistra, long the intellectual power behind the Council, began to question their role in a galaxy where humanity was so clearly on the rise. The Vaxii, whose fleets had once terrorized the outer systems, now found themselves on the defensive as human forces pushed ever deeper into their territories. In a final desperate attempt to maintain control, the Council summoned all of its forces to a grand battle in the core systems, a place where they believed humanity could be wiped out once and for all. This would be the defining clash between the forces of the old order and the new human-led alliance. But as the Council gathered its vast armadas, humanity had already anticipated their move. The Human Alliance, bolstered by numerous species who had defected from the Council, had prepared for this final confrontation. The battle that unfolded was like no other in galactic history. It wasn't just a fight for dominance, it was a struggle for the future of the galaxy itself. Humanity's strategy was clear: to disband the Council's power structure and replace it with something more equitable, something that allowed all species to thrive. The battle was fierce, with both sides suffering tremendous losses, but humanity's resilience and adaptability once again shone through. The Council's forces were eventually overwhelmed, and their leadership fractured beyond repair. The Galactic Council, once the governing body of the galaxy, was no more. A new galaxy. With the fall of the Galactic Council, a new era began. Humanity, alongside its allies, established a new governing body, the Galactic Federation. This new federation was founded on principles of mutual respect, shared power, and equality for all species. No longer would the galaxy be ruled by a few elite empires, it would be a galaxy where every voice mattered, and every species had the right to chart its own future. The Galactic Federation quickly became a beacon of hope for those who had long been oppressed by the Council's rule. As humanity led the charge, the galaxy began to heal, slowly but surely, from the wounds of centuries of tyranny. And in the heart of this new galaxy, humanity stood as a symbol of what could be achieved through resilience, ingenuity, and the unyielding determination to never give up. The underdogs had become the architects of a new order, and the stars, once a playground for the powerful, were now a place where all species could finally live and thrive. free from the shackles of the old regimes. Humanity's rise had changed the galaxy forever. And the galaxy would never be the same again. The Galactic Federation, a new dawn for the galaxy. The rise of the Galactic Federation marked the beginning of a new era, one where power wasn't solely held by ancient empires or militaristic giants. Humanity's victory had ushered in a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity, at least by the standards of a galaxy that had long been defined by conflict. The Federation, with its foundation built on unity, respect, and equality for all sentient species, quickly became a beacon of hope and a symbol of a new, more inclusive future. The Federation's first council, made up of representatives from dozens of species, included a significant number of humans. However, the human leaders made it clear from the start that the Federation was not a human-dominated entity. Its purpose was to create a space where all voices could be heard, where cooperation would take precedence over conflict, and for the first time in galactic history, it seemed as though peace might be within reach. But as history had shown time and again, peace is often fragile, and even in this new age of cooperation, old rivalries still lingered. The Federation, though a powerful symbol of change, had to contend with those who were less enthusiastic about humanity's rise and the dissolution of the old power structures. The resistance, old guards and new threats. Not everyone in the galaxy welcomed the changes brought about by the Federation. Some old empires, like the Xenic and Hegemon, had been dealt significant blows during the downfall of the Council. Their leaders, humiliated and enraged, began to rally forces in the shadows. While they had been forced to accept the Federation's existence, a growing faction of extremists within these empires began to see humanity's rise as an existential threat to their supremacy. These factions, now calling themselves the True Order, sought to restore the old ways of control and domination. The True Order didn't operate openly at first, preferring to operate from the dark corners of the galaxy, pulling strings and orchestrating sabotage missions against the Federation's infrastructure. Their goal wasn't just to destabilize the Federation, it was to return the galaxy to its former state, where a few dominant empires called the shots and weaker species had little to no voice. It didn't take long for the Federation's leaders to realize that peace, although a noble goal, would not come without a cost. The old guard wasn't going to simply vanish, and the battle for control of the galaxy was far from over. A new generation of leaders. As tensions began to rise, a new generation of human leaders emerged, born not from the ranks of the military or political elite, but from the very fabric of the Federation itself. Among them was Commander Lena Riker, a former human military strategist who had played a key role in the early battles against the Xenic and Hegemon forces. Riker, known for her sharp mind and unyielding resolve, became one of the leading voices in the Federation Council. Riker was more than just a military tactician, she was a visionary. Her approach to leadership was rooted in the belief that the galaxy's future depended not on military dominance, but on trust, diplomacy, and shared values. She understood the importance of military might when necessary, but she also knew that a truly united galaxy would require more than just force. It would require the willingness to understand, to cooperate, and to build something stronger than the structures that had come before. Her first major challenge came when reports surfaced of an attack on one of the Federation's outer colonies, a peaceful planet that had long been a symbol of the new galaxy's unity. The culprits were believed to be members of the True Order, who had struck at the heart of the Federation's ideals. The attack left the planet's infrastructure in ruins and dozens dead. It was a brutal reminder that the Federation's fragile peace could be shattered in an instant. Riker knew that the Federation had to respond. But she also understood that simply retaliating with force would only deepen the divide between factions. Instead, she called for an emergency session of the Federation Council, hoping to rally support for a solution that would not only protect the Federation's citizens, but also address the underlying issues that led to the rise of the True Order in the first place. The rebuilding and the new threat. In the aftermath of the attack, the Federation's efforts were twofold: rebuilding and uncovering the True Order's leadership, while the Federation's military forces began repairing the damage to the outer colonies. A covert investigation was launched into the shadowy organization behind the attacks. The True Order had supporters not just among the old empires, but also in the deepest reaches of the Federation itself. The organization had already infiltrated key positions, and their influence was quietly spreading. Riker, now a central figure in the Federation's defense and diplomatic efforts, knew the greatest challenge would not be defeating the True Order militarily. It would be cutting out the rot from within, exposing those who had betrayed the Federation's principles for power and control. The Federation's ideals of unity and equality had inspired many, but they had also exposed weaknesses that the old powers were eager to exploit. As Riker navigated these political minefields, another, even darker threat emerged from the galaxy's fringes, a mysterious, ancient alien race, the Zendral. For centuries, they had been a myth, a story told in hushed whispers, but now they were becoming very real. Their ships, unlike anything the Federation had ever encountered, began appearing in deep space, attacking Federation colonies without warning. The Zendral, cold and calculating, were not motivated by politics or power. They were driven by something more primal, survival. The Zendral had been watching humanity's rise, and they had decided that it was time for the galaxy to face a true test. The Federation, now at its weakest point in its short existence, was forced to confront the reality that even the greatest peace could be shattered by forces beyond their control. Humanity's ultimate test. The combination of internal threats from the True Order and the external menace of the Zendral left the Federation on the brink of collapse. Humanity's rise had shown that even the most powerful of empires could be toppled. But now, humanity faced its greatest test. The challenge would not be a military conquest, but a test of unity, endurance, and resolve. The fate of the galaxy would depend on how well the Federation could withstand the pressure and whether humanity's ideals could truly overcome the destructive forces that sought to tear everything apart. Commander Lena Riker stood at the helm of the Federation's most advanced warship, the Resolute. Looking out at the stars, she knew that humanity had fought for survival before, but now they had to fight for the very soul of the galaxy. In the coming days, alliances would be tested, secrets would be revealed, and the very foundation of the Federation would be shaken. Humanity would have to prove, once and for all, that their rise wasn't just a momentary victory, it was the dawn of a new age for the galaxy. And as Riker watched the stars glittering in the darkness, she couldn't help but think, this is our galaxy now, and we will defend it with everything we have. The fight for the galaxy had only just begun. The Zendral invasion, humanity's first true crisis. The galaxy's fragile peace was about to be shattered. After months of skirmishes and espionage, the True Order's shadowy influence had spread far and wide. But it was the sudden emergence of the Zendral that would test the Federation's resolve like never before. The mysterious alien race, whose ships moved through the void like shadows, began to make their presence known in the most unexpected of ways. It started with whispers, intercepted communications, strange anomalies in the galactic data streams, and, finally, reports of colonies being wiped out in an instant. No warnings, no demands, just total annihilation. Entire systems were disappearing without a trace. The Federation's core worlds, once the heart of the Galactic Alliance, now found themselves in jeopardy. Commander Lena Riker, now firmly entrenched as one of the most influential leaders of the Federation, found herself faced with a crisis that no one had seen coming. The Zendral were not only technologically superior, they were seemingly invincible. Their ships capable of slipping in and out of space without warning, appearing and vanishing like ghosts. The sheer devastation they left in their wake left the Federation scrambling for answers. The first major strike, Eresia's fall. Eresia, a once thriving planet at the edge of Federation space, was the first major casualty in the Zendral invasion. The colony had been home to millions of people, thriving under the Federation's governance. It was a beacon of hope for what the Federation stood for: peace, cooperation, and prosperity. In a blink, Eresia was reduced to a burning ruin. The planet's communications went dark as fleets of Zendral ships emerged from hyperspace, attacking with ruthless precision. The Federation's response, though swift, was insufficient. Their ships, advanced as they were no match for the overwhelming firepower and devastating tactics of the Zendral. Entire defensive fleets were wiped out within hours, and soon, the Federation had no choice but to issue an evacuation order for the survivors. For Commander Riker, the loss of Eresia was personal. It had been one of the first worlds to fully embrace the Federation's new way of life, and its destruction represented not only the loss of human and alien lives, but a devastating blow to the very ideals the Federation had been founded upon. This wasn't just an invasion, it was an existential threat to the future of the galaxy itself. The Federation's last stand. As the Zendral continued their relentless march through Federation space, Riker and her fellow leaders realized that a new strategy was required. They had underestimated the Zendral, thinking their threat was no more than a myth, a story told in the most obscure corners of the galaxy. Now that myth had become a brutal reality, and the Federation's ideals of unity and peace were being tested in the crucible of war. The Federation Council convened in an emergency session, where Riker, flanked by representatives from all the major species, began to outline a bold counteroffensive. There was no question that the Federation's military forces were stretched thin, dealing with both the True Order and the Zendral. But the human leader was resolute. This was no time to back down. If the Federation was to survive, they would have to fight back, not just with strength, but with unity and innovation. "We're not just fighting for the Federation," Riker said, standing before the council. "We're fighting for everything we've worked for, the belief that all sentient beings have the right to live freely, without fear of extinction. We're not just defending colonies or systems, we're defending the very idea of a galaxy where peace is possible." The plan she proposed was audacious, a combined fleet strike with a focus on technology acquisition. The Federation's scientists had already begun reverse engineering some of the Zendral technology captured from previous battles. There was hope, though slim, that if they could understand how the Zendral ships moved through space, they could find a way to neutralize them. Riker's new coalition army, made up of human and alien forces, would take the fight directly to the Zendral's home systems, hoping to strike before their enemy could consolidate their gains. It would be the greatest battle the Federation had ever known. The Battle of Vernax, a turning point. The Federation's counteroffensive was set in motion, and the first true test came at Vernax, a planet located near the Zendral's supply routes. If the Federation could hold Vernax, they could prevent further Zendral reinforcements from reaching their front lines. The battle was intense from the very start. Federation forces, though desperate, fought valiantly, led by Commander Riker aboard the Resolute, the Federation's flagship. Human ingenuity shone through. Riker had studied the Zendral's tactics and weaponry, quickly discovering a small, vulnerable weakness in their shields, an opening that had been overlooked by most. With this knowledge, she orchestrated a daring strike, using a combination of human stealth ships and heavy artillery to breach the Zendral defenses. The battle raged for days, with the Federation forces taking heavy casualties. But in the end, the tide began to turn. The Zendral were forced to retreat, their fleets scattered and their supply lines severed. It was the first victory for the Federation against the alien invaders, and it gave the galaxy hope. Though the Zendral had not been defeated, they had been pushed back, and the Federation now knew it could survive the fight. Vernax would go down in history as the battle that proved the galaxy could stand up to even the most overwhelming odds. The Zendral's true purpose. However, victory at Vernax was bittersweet. The Federation knew that the Zendral were not a force of conquest, they were something far older, far more enigmatic. The Zendral's true motives remained unclear. What had driven them to attack? Why had they chosen this moment in galactic history to reveal themselves? Riker, alongside the Federation's top scientists and diplomats, uncovered a chilling truth. The Zendral had not come to conquer the galaxy, they had come to destroy it. According to ancient records, the Zendral were an ancient race that believed the galaxy itself was unstable, that the rapid expansion of sentient species, especially humans, was upsetting the balance of the universe. They believed that the growth of intelligent life threatened the very fabric of existence, and that it was their purpose to eradicate any species that posed a danger to the galaxy's natural order. For the Zendral, humanity's rise was not just a political concern, it was a cosmic one. Their attacks were not personal. They were part of a grander mission to maintain the balance of the universe. And, as the Federation learned, the Zendral would not stop until their mission was complete. A new alliance, the Federation's resolve. As the Federation prepared for its next phase of defense, they knew that they could not face the Zendral alone. But the victory at Vernax had created a wave of solidarity among the galaxy's species. The Federation was stronger now, more united than ever before. Human ingenuity had played a pivotal role in the battle, but it had been the combined strength of the galaxy's people that had made victory possible. Commander Riker's resolve was unwavering. She knew that if they were to defeat the Zendral, they would need to continue working together, blending their strengths, and above all, pushing forward with everything they had. The true test of humanity's place in the galaxy was just beginning. The fate of the Federation, and of the galaxy itself, now rested on their ability to face the greatest threat the universe had ever. The Great War, humanity's stand against the Zendral. With the victory at Vernax and the shocking revelations about the Zendral's true purpose, the galaxy found itself teetering on the edge of annihilation. The Federation was no longer merely defending territory or ideals. It was now fighting for the survival of all sentient life. The Zendral's invasion was not just an attack on a few colonies, it was a cosmic cleansing. And humanity, along with its allies, stood as the last line of defense. The war was about to become more brutal than anyone had anticipated. The Federation's forces, though bolstered by new technologies and tactics gleaned from their victories, were not prepared for the sheer might of the Zendral. Their ships were like living creatures, moving seamlessly through space and time, appearing from the void without warning. No fleet in the galaxy had the capacity to fight them on equal terms. But humanity had something the Zendral did not: the will to fight, and the ability to adapt in the face of insurmountable odds. The Federation, led by Commander Riker, was ready to prove that even in the darkest hours, when all seemed lost, humanity could rise and lead the galaxy to a new dawn. The Zendral's vengeance, the fall of Kurithis. The next battle came at Kurithis, a thriving Federation world situated in the path of the Zendral's main advance. Kurithis was not just a military stronghold. It was a symbol of everything the Federation stood for. The people of Kurithis had been among the first to welcome the Federation's ideals of peace and cooperation. Its fall would be a devastating blow to morale and a victory for the Zendral. The Federation had anticipated an assault on Kurithis, but nothing could have prepared them for the ferocity of the Zendral's attack. Within hours of their arrival, Kurithis' defenses were shattered. The Zendral appeared out of nowhere, using their advanced cloaking technology to breach the planet's outer defenses with terrifying efficiency. The Federation's fleets engaged immediately, but the sheer scale of the Zendral assault left the defenders overwhelmed. Commander Riker, aboard the Resolute, gave the order for a counterstrike, launching every available warship in a desperate bid to hold the planet. But the Zendral were relentless. They destroyed fleet after fleet, forcing the Federation to retreat. Kurithis fell, and the galaxy watched in horror as the planet burned. The Federation lost not only a key military stronghold, but also a vital symbol of hope. The loss of Kurithis threatened to plunge the entire galaxy into despair. In the wake of Kurithis' fall, the Federation was forced to take drastic action. Riker knew that their traditional tactics would no longer be enough. The Zendral were not just another enemy, they were a force of nature, unyielding and merciless. It was time for the Federation to change the way they fought. The evolution of war, humanity's innovation. The Federation's scientific community, already hard at work reverse engineering Zendral technology, now found themselves under extreme pressure. The key to survival lay in understanding the Zendral's superior capabilities, particularly their ability to move through space at will, their near-impenetrable shields, and their devastating energy weapons. But the Federation scientists also understood that the Zendral were not invincible. They had weaknesses, and the Federation just needed to find them. Commander Riker took the bold step of ordering an offensive against a Zendral command ship that had been captured during the early skirmishes. The ship, though damaged, was still intact enough for Federation engineers to study. What they discovered was both terrifying and enlightening. The Zendral ships were powered by a form of dark energy, something far beyond anything the Federation had ever encountered. This dark energy allowed the Zendral to manipulate space and time, allowing them to slip between dimensions and phase through objects. However, this power had a limit. If the dark energy was disrupted, the Zendral ships would become vulnerable. Riker immediately authorized a secret project, codenamed Project Eclipse, to develop a new type of weapon capable of destabilizing the Zendral's dark energy shields. The weapon would be a game-changer, but it was risky. The project's success was uncertain, and its failure could mean the end of humanity's resistance. As Federation forces prepared for another confrontation, Riker reached out to the various species within the Federation to join forces in a new and unprecedented way. The United Front would be an alliance like no other, one in which every species would contribute their unique strengths to the battle. The Federation had already proven that it could fight as a cohesive force, But now, with the Zendral pushing them to the brink, it was time to take things further. The galaxy's survival depended on it. The Second Battle of Kurithis, a last stand. Months passed as the Federation continued to rebuild its forces, testing new weapons, and preparing for the Zendral's next move. But they knew that the Zendral would not wait. The Federation's new strategy centered around launching a counteroffensive to retake Kurithis, an impossible task, considering the Zendral's overwhelming strength. However, Riker was resolute. This would be their last stand. The United Front now consisted of human, Xenic, Vaxii, and many other species, all united under one banner. Their fleets were powerful, but they were still outnumbered. They had no choice but to rely on their new weapons and strategies. As the Federation assembled at the edge of Kurithis system, Riker ordered a daring strike on the Zendral command ship, an enormous vessel orbiting the planet. The battle that followed was the bloodiest the Federation had ever fought. 4 hours. Federation and Zendral fleets clashed in a deadly dance, each side suffering horrific losses. But humanity's new weapon, Project Eclipse, proved to be a game-changer. When the first wave of the dark energy disruptors hit, the Zendral ships flickered and staggered, their once impenetrable shields collapsing. For the first time, the Federation had a chance. Commander Riker led the charge, coordinating the fleet's attack with precision. The Zendral were forced into a retreat, their forces scattered and broken. The Federation managed to secure a foothold on Kurithis once again. Although at great cost, the victory was hard-earned. But it was a turning point. The Federation had finally cracked the Zendral's code, and, in doing so, had turned the tide of the war. The road ahead, a new hope. The victory at Kurithis, though costly, had marked the beginning of the end for the Zendral invasion. With their dark energy shields neutralized, the Federation could now engage the Zendral on equal terms. But the war was far from over. The Zendral were a formidable enemy, and they would not be easily defeated. However, the Federation had proven that humanity's strength lay not just in military might, but in unity, ingenuity, and unwavering resolve. Commander Riker, now more than ever, believed in the galaxy's future. The victory at Kurithis was a symbol of what was possible when the galaxy came together. Humanity had been the catalyst, but it was the combined strength of all species that had made the difference. As the war raged on, the Federation pressed forward with renewed hope. The galaxy's survival was no longer in question. Humanity had shown the universe that it was not just a species to be ignored, it was a force to be reckoned with. And with that, humanity's rise had reached its true potential. The road ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in the galaxy's history, there was hope that peace was possible, even in the face of the greatest darkness the universe had ever known. The fight for the galaxy's future was far from over, but humanity had proven that